Wunderschönen guten Morgen in die Runde. Ich bin gespannt, ob man uns auch gut verstehen kann. Hören sollte schon funktionieren, sehen sollte aktuell eine Folie zu sehen sein. Bei mir hier im Stream, für die Leute, die der Konferenz direkt beiwohnen, gibt es ja auch noch einen Chat. Da können Sie auch gerne Fragen stellen und jetzt hätte ich am liebsten gerne in diesem benannten Chat auch mal die Rückmeldung, ob man uns gut verstehen kann. Ich habe in gebührendem Abstand noch den Herrn Dr. Wurzer bei mir sitzen. Gemütliche Runde hier in Remscheid. Und wenn im Chat kurz die Rückmeldung kommt, dass man uns gut hören kann, dann würde uns das weiterhelfen. So, 9:48 Uhr. Ich mache nochmal einen zweiten Audiotest. Hallo an die neuen Teilnehmer. Gerne hier im Chat, im Jitsi-Chat schreiben, weil im YouTube-Chat habe ich jetzt noch keinen Überblick oder noch nicht, aber gehe ich jetzt auch gleich rein und schaue nach. Habe noch mal ein bisschen optimiert. Das heißt, wenn Sie mir nochmal schreiben könnten, wie es mit der Tonqualität jetzt aussieht.
Jo, 1, 2, 3. Ich hoffe, man hört mich gut. Danke. Eins, zwei, drei. Ich hoffe, man hört mich gut. Danke.
Ja, man hört Sie als Teilnehmer auf jeden Fall. Bitte jetzt noch, bis der Stream dann auch startet, stumm bleiben.
Sind wir doch, sind wir doch. Kein Thema. Ich schalte das Mikro aus. Kein Thema. Bestellen Sie Herrn Wurstler auch direkt mal einen schönen Gruß, ne?
So, hören kann man uns schon und gleich auch sehen. Wir begrüßen Sie ganz herzlich und ich übergebe zur Begrüßung direkt, wenn die Kamera auch mal da ist, zum Herrn Dr. Wurzer. Das in die richtige Kamera hier holen, genau. So, und jetzt sollte man uns auch sehen.
So, hello, good morning and welcome to the third Volla Community Days 2021. We are streaming live from our location in Germany, Remscheid. And yeah, I welcome all the audience, the awesome community, and in particular, all the members of the Volla team. Thomas Krüger is also online from our support, and he will also present something today. And I welcome next to me is Janos Kehl. He is our recent new team member responsible for, it's our head of marketing and sales. So thank you very much that we are online here.
Always welcome.
And yeah, let's begin Volla next level, the Volla Community Days, and maybe Mr. Kehl, you would like to introduce yourself.
Yeah, sure. Thank you so much for the introduction. My name is Janos Kehl, as you might know already inside the chat and everywhere in the communities. You may have read my name. I am a former fully multi-channel marketing specialist in a world which was full of Google Analytics and Google Ads and everything else. And I experienced the Volla from the beginning. I guess I had one of the first prototypes in hand as in my position as also a tech YouTuber. But well, as time went on, I got to know the Volla and also Dr. Wurzer more and more. And now I'm very proud to join the team. Already joined the team with the beginning of May, and I'm hoping for nice numbers as a head of sales, but also for a nice community and a nice feedback from all of you guys, so that we can develop the Volla even further. And also, I have to say that some people might think that I am the social guy, right? I was more into Google than anyone else here right now, but just because I did that, I know what privacy is, and I know what privacy means, and I definitely know why everyone should use the Volla, because privacy is a thing and freedom of choice is a thing, and that's why we're all here. So I'm happy to join the Volla Community Days for the first time, and I'm happy for all the speakers that we hear today to get to know some more technical depth inside of this. So thank you so much for having me.
Okay, thanks. So let's start, and I'm looking forward to a lively discussion, and I'm looking forward to all the contributions, inspiring presentations, demonstrations, and some interviews. Yeah, because we have an international audience, the language is English. Anyway, however, you are free to chat in German for some questions you have, and so that's fine. So let's start with the agenda that I introduced. You may have seen it on our conference page. There is a link to a blog post with the conference program, and here it is. So we have two channels, I would like to say. One is the channel for the inspiring presentations, interviews, and demonstrations, and the second channel is a hackathon. And I'm very looking forward to the outcome. In the past two Volla Community Days, we had really inspiring results that we could use to develop and implement our project. So thank you very much for all that will participate to contribute with some amazing code to that overall project. So we will start with a keynote with what's new and what happened in the last year after the last Volla Community Days. And then I will briefly talk about the challenges of the hackathon. And then we have a short presentation of our major partner, Mr. Leber, with an interview. And for sure, after each program part, you have the opportunity to ask questions that we can answer. And Mr. Kale helps me to get the interesting questions from the community in our Telegram channel. And then in the afternoon today, we have some contributions to the conference that are for users quite interesting, and for consumers, not only for technicians. And tomorrow we have a very interesting day for the more technical-minded people from our community. It's about the community, amazing community projects. And in the afternoon, I'm happy to discuss with you the outcome of the hackathon. Let's see what happens here. It's always, I think, surprising what happens. So let's talk. Here is the link, quite small. It's t.me and hello_Volla. That is our Telegram channel that most people already know. Yeah, well, that's it. So let's start to talk about Volla. And for some of the audience, what I'm talking about, they already know. But maybe we have also some new members of the community. And so I think for them, it's quite interesting to talk about our mission and what happened in the past after our crowdfunding campaign that was our first entry in the public. Yeah, let's talk about the mission. So I realized that that modern technology occupies time and attention of many people. And I think all of you know situations in the bus, in the train, or in the public where all people are looking at their smartphone. And I think this is quite significant, that what I realized. And that was inspiration to think about using a smartphone and how I use my time with electronic communication and electronic products like my smartphone. And this is a screenshot from Apple. And the second thing I realized is that technology and operation system became more and more complex. And I think it's an amazing engineering. Yeah, there are brilliant engineers that Apple has and also Google has, but the operating system become more and more complex. And it's my impression, my personal impression, that it's hard to get an overview of what's on my device, what options do I have, and it's hard to have a clear representation of the system in my mind. And that's again force attention and time of that devices, and it doesn't make peace in my mind. So that's what I realized. And the second, this is about and the second thing I realized is about privacy. One is that you all know that the big tech companies, but also smaller companies, are collecting user data. They use it to offer smart services, how they call it, or to optimize marketing and advertising. And it's not only the big tech companies that are collecting data and use it for services. Here is a photo of a book that most of you already know, that Edward Snowden talks about mass surveillance. For instance, PRISM project and the permanent record of our user activities in the internet. And that also inspires me and motivates me to think about a technology that might be different than the operation system of Apple and the operation system of Google. As you know, that is that the big tech companies are forced to provide the data to the intelligence community by the Cloud Act. That is also the reason that the European Court decided in the last year to reject the Privacy Shield agreement. But it's not only in the US where data is collected. I just found that document from the European Union that it's a document that states that also it's a statement about mass surveillance, suspicious mass surveillance in the European Union. I think it's worth to have a look at that public document, and that this is not only what we can see in the US. Why is data collected? As I said, it's to offer so-called smart services. It's for so-called security reasons. And it's also worth to read that public document of the German Environmental Ministry. It's very interesting to read the concept for smart cities, where the vision is that algorithms and artificial intelligence use our collected data to take the choice for us. And also, so I have that quote, and it's very interesting to read it. In my point of view, it's a contradiction to the European Charter of Fundamental Rights. And I think it's what we would like to do is to contribute to the enablement of that fundamental right in Article 8 of the Charter of the European Union. And so the conclusion is, so that I talked about the motivation, about some things I realized. The conclusion is twofold, that we would like to provide a product to freedom by simplicity and security. That are the two main topics I sketched in my motivation. The freedom freedom for things that matters, so that I have the time and focus on the things that are important, direct communication, productive things in job, but also in a private context, and the freedom to choose with whom, when, and what kind of data I share. These are the main two conclusions from that I have realized. And so that's about the motivation and the mission of Volla, the twofold mission: freedom by simplicity and privacy. And what's the implementation? So the implementation on the simplicity side, that enables freedom from attraction by technology and freedom for the things that matters. is a new user experience, or it's a user experience paradigm shift, I would like to say. It's focused on people and activities instead of apps and services by intermediate interaction. So if you look at operation systems of smartphones and even other devices like tablets or smart watches, you have that paradigm of a bunch of apps that are ordered in a grid, for instance, and mostly. So this is the paradigm that you can find at Google and Apple. And the idea is to have something else, to have an immediate interaction. So if you do something, you take your device, you unlock it and start typing and doing what you like to do instead of opening an app. And after you have done it, you take your smartphone away and you do the important things. This is the idea, and the benchmark is paper and pencil. Electronics should be just easy, like electronic and pencil. I admit it's just the beginning what we are doing, but we introduced on that exciting way that we have started 3 concepts for the implementation. The first idea is the so-called Springboard, where you type in anything and the device anticipates what you want to do. And I think there's a huge potential what you can do with that approach, even if you think that you don't type in what you want them to do, but maybe you speak with the device. And then it are the shortcuts for the most things to do, so to do it easily. I myself rarely use several apps. So the most things I do in every day, I just use the shortcut to do it. And we have in the afternoon a presentation with some tips how to use it, so I don't go deeper in that. And the third is to have this collections. The collections of things that are grouped in a smart way, what I need, without searching or opening apps and filtering what I need. So that's the idea behind. And I think with you and together, I think we will have ideas how we can improve these ideas and add further things. The next thing I would like to talk, so that was simplicity, freedom by simplicity. And the second thing is freedom by privacy. So it's the first step, what we have done, and there's a long roadmap to consequently implement further steps to protect our privacy or to enable the opportunity to choose. We don't want to teach people, we don't want to tell people what they have to do. If you like, you can install your Facebook, your WhatsApp, you can do what you want with your device, but people should have the choice. If people don't want to share specific data, they shouldn't be forced to do so. That's the idea. And one first step is that we have no Google apps and services. So some people don't know that Google stock Android is something different than Android itself as a base system. So if you buy a smartphone somewhere in the supermarket or electronic discounter on Amazon, wherever, you have that stock Android with a second layer that is the Google Play services. Services for maps, for location, for notifications, and so on. And then you have at the third level the Google apps, like that are coupled with the cloud services of Google. It's important to have curated, I'm sorry, my table. It's important that we have curated open source alternative apps. Something good, but I don't see it anymore on my device. Let's see why that happened. I don't know. Let me see why this happened. Yeah, now it's back. So I'm back. Sorry. No, it's flipped, right?
But in the meantime, if you have any questions, don't hesitate, and you can ask them in the chat. I will also have a look in the YouTube chat for all of you guys that are joining us in our YouTube channel. And now back to Dr.
Back, so yeah. So they're creating open source alternatives for the system apps. That means that if you buy a Google stock device or Android stock device, then you have Google apps like Gmail and the Google Calendar and so on, and we replace that. And very important is that there's no need to register to a cloud. So if you have a Google stock Android device, you usually ask to register to a Google account. You can skip it, but if you have a Apple device, you have no chance to make it running without an Apple ID. So transparency through published source code. I will talk later about this. It's our plan, and we will fulfill our promise to publish the source code of the operation systems. We have already started with publishing the source code of the Volla launcher, and Ubuntu Touch is anyway open source, and our parts are published as well. And then we have prepared the Volla devices with an optional VPN, so you are not forced to use it. It's an offering to you, because we think that many consumers don't know that VPN makes sense. It's not the solution to have a complete privacy protection, but it's a component. And it's hard to find the right VPN service, and we make a suggestion because our partner HiKey is lock-free, because the company is located in a country where the company is not forced to lock the internet activities. If the company would be had the location in the European Union or in the US, they would be forced to lock the internet activities or forced to provide data, as I said before. Okay, and then it's alternative app stores. So for sure, we have not Google Play Store pre-installed on the Volla phone, but we have F-Droid. We use F-Droid for frequent updates of the system apps. So you need to wait for a system update before the system apps are updated. And F-Droid is also a good alternative to find open source Android apps for the most use cases. And you have Aurora, that is a kind of proxy between an intermediator between your device and the Play Store, so you can anonymously download and install Android apps that are published on the Google Play Store. The benefit is that we can find in the Aurora Store hints whether and which tracker are in part of that app, and you are free to decide if you want or if you don't want it. Freedom of choice is also not only about the choice whether or not you would like to use a cloud service that are available by some cloud service provider, or you host the service on your own. It also implies the choice of the operating system. It's the Volla OS that is based on a pure Android, clean Android without Google stuff in it. And the second operation system is Ubuntu Touch. About a third of our orders to have a choice for Ubuntu Touch. And so it's interesting that really consumers start appreciating a pure mobile Linux and not only technical enthusiasts. So we have the Safe Issue as a community port. Thank you very much for Adam Pick, who invested a lot of time to make it running on the Volla phone. And Safe Issue as it's an amazing major alternative operation system. Unfortunately, because of the commercial license, we only can offer it for subsequent installation. And let's see, we have friends at Volla. It's a great company. Let's see how it will be in the future. We keep the contact and the negotiation. And the product is made in Germany, so we have the hands on the whole product. That is very important. We have the source code for everything, for the whole operation system for sure. And the production is twofold. The raw device is produced about 90 minutes away in Bocholt, a nice place, small place in Germany. And the second part are done right here in our location in Remscheid. So we installed the operation system and it's packaged, and we have also the vendors for that packaging and other stuff here in Remscheid. So it's really a local company, and you see here it's the building, the main city hall, or how do you say it, for the local government. So you can see that it's a nice place to visit, by the way. A couple of hundreds meters away from our location, it's an old medieval part of the town with small houses, and we have in the neighborhood a castle of the Graf of Berg. So it's a nice place here in the Bergisches Land. And you see here the lion. It's the symbol from that area here. Okay, and that's about the timeline. It's interesting to see how we developed. It's only not much more than 1 year old when we started with crowdfunding. We started with Kickstarter, and then we continued with Indiegogo. And to fulfill our promise in the future, our company is independent. The only owner is my own holding. I invested that company without venture capital to keep independent, and we thank very much the people that spent money on it as contributors of our crowdfunding. and of our initial international crowdfunding. Thank you for your trust. Thank you for your patience during the time of development. And for me, it's an amazing experience to be supported by that wonderful community. Thank you very much for the contribution, not only for the money, for the people that have made the beta testing, the people that have contributed by coding. So the Ubuntu Touchport hasn't been possible without the help of many developers all over the world and a small team that are working very hard. And thank you very much also for people that have translated. We wouldn't have been possible to offer a Finnish user interface, and I'm honestly can't prove whether the translation is correct. So, but that's the community, and I feel gifted by that community. And then we started with the development and the development stage, beta stage, and now it's a release stage and a continuous development for sure. So therefore, the color that they fade out to indicate that it's a continuous process. We start. So then in the production, early the beta production of the device, and then it's a continuous process of production with the help of our partner Gigaset Communication. And we have then the shipping started in October last year, and first for the backers and then for people who ordered in the store. We opened the online store in October and in December last year, and then it was a very lively time where the development was not so lively because we need to install the processes and the structure of that small and young company with employees for production, order management, and fulfillment. It was a very lively time. And thank you very much for the team members here that are working on site in Remscheid or in Wuppertal for in the neighborhood for the fulfillment. And that's the Volla team, and it's amazing that we have that team. So some flags where people are living or coming from, and it's a colorful team. So we have our designer in Romania for audio design, for visual design. We have the developers that might be online that are coming from Russia or working in Finland. And even I welcome, if he's online, our recent member of the developer team that comes from Namibia. So, and it's really lively, and I think it's we can show also that in the mindset of freedom, it's also a mindset of peace and community. And we thank also our major partners with Gigaset for the hardware development and manufacturing. And it's, I think, only possible with that high grade of automation that makes it possible to produce very small specific batches, like for the Volla phone. So if you would, for 2 years ago, when I tried to find a vendor, I had no chance to call any Chinese vendor. So if I don't have millions that they should produce for us. So it's amazing to have this partner, and also the Ubibots Foundation that helps us to realize a mobile Linux alternative. And we thank HiveMe and hopefully further partners that we are talking with. Maybe they're also online from Zuma e.V. It's the abbreviation from Suchmaschine. It's a German Verein, club, or So for that are also hosting a German search engine and some education program for media competence. And so that's we're also last community day they have been here on stage. And we have already already resellers all over the world, and that's so amazing. We have resellers in Romania, in Belgium, in South America, and in Switzerland. In Switzerland, people are excited, maybe because of Switzerland and privacy has a kind of history in that country, maybe. And although there's a center of the intelligence community, so anyway, we have some companies here like Epcom, who is also a service provider and also a very young reseller. It's with the domain Vodafone CH, and we have also very nice. It's Tante Emma. So it's a Tante Emma shop. So it's a, and they have a nice presentation of the Volla phone. You may have a look at their website, and also a welcome Care IT. We will have a very exciting contribution about protected communication today, and also we have other partners like in Argentina. It's this company Prosa, which are trying to develop an amazing product, but it's on there to announce it to the public what they're doing. I'm very excited. So that's the Volla community in all over the world. And maybe I missed some countries, but that's it. So we have, for sure in Germany, it's the last audience, and it's not surprising. We have people in Scandinavia, in the US, in South America, in Japan, in Bahrain, and in the United Emirates, and all over. And we have a community member who implemented a version in the Arabian language, in a LTE version for the Volla launcher. It looks so awesome, and I like that. How that community grows. So I have a look at the. Yeah, that's okay. So what's next? And first of all, Volla OS. So we are working hard. We are very sorry that it is a delay for the Volla OS update. So we are a small developer team, by the way. If you know someone who would like to work for us and extend our developer team as a freelancer, let us know, write us an email. So that's also a reason why it takes some time. So what we try to really provide an intermediate update for Volla OS 9. Unfortunately, the last check failed. We tried to publish it today for the Volla Community Days. There's some language issue in the Updater app that shows a wrong version number. So, but if we fixed it, we publish an intermediate update, and this is a preparation for the major update all of you are waiting for. It's then based for a Volla OS 10. So we have this Volla OS 10 will have a system-wide dark mode, for sure also a light mode that I prefer for sunny days, so you can better see. But if you are inside of rooms, then I very much like the dark mode. And you have predefined permissions, so you don't have that problems and confusions with permission that many consumers had. We apologize for that the permissions have to be too strict of the shipped device. But of course, you have the full options to define and restrict all the permissions. That's it. And you have updated systems apps, like for the mail app that fixes some bugs. So we're also close to the publications. Currently, one of our developer is, two of them are hard working on fixing the last issues. We realized an issue that some apps are disappearing while the update from 9 to 10. So as soon as it fixed, then we can publish it. And my demo today is already on Volla OS 10. Okay, that's the Volla OS. And then one developer, Mr. Ubibots, already started restructuring our repositories together with, we have migrated our server to a larger infrastructure and also to another continuous integration and continuous deployment process. Everything is now integrated up to the OTA server that we host, that we manage, that we protect. So don't be worried that some malicious code comes in. We have the hands on the updates. And so we restructure the repositories for two reasons. First reason is that we connect it with the IUSP upstream to offer more frequent updates. But I don't want to make a statement in which frequencies. Let's see. It will definitely be more frequent, and my objective is, my goal is to have regular minor updates for security patches, for instance, or other details we improve from the system. And we want to publish further, and oh, now again, my cable is not stable in my MacBook. No, it's back. This is a USB-C cable, but my MacBook is also used days and nights, so yeah, it does a hard job for me. And we want to publish the whole operation system as we promised on GitHub, so you can build Vollaphone even on yourself and contribute to further improvements. And we want to work on design, usability, and security improvements for sure. So for the Volla OS itself. And here are the screenshots that we already published in our update. I'm talking too much to update on Kickstarter and Indiegogo. And the Volla launcher also will has a roadmap. I need to update the wiki page on GitHub, where you'll find the roadmap for the Volla launcher, also for the Volla OS and our Ubuntu touch port. It's first bug fixing, it's for, I would like to implement a direct message reply into the, we would like to have integrated notes. It's more, it's not really handy how it is right now that we have that additional notes app and so on. We would like to make it much more convenient. We would like to add some more settings the community asked for, the blurred filter setting and much more. And also additional message sources. Hopefully one of you will face the challenge of additional channels. We are frequently asked to integrate Signal or other channels, Telegram as a news source maybe, and also some things like Atom feeds instead on the RSS feeds that are supported for news. And potentially, we would like to offer extendable skills. So as a third party developer, community developer, you can add some more skills for the Springboard special use cases. People have a lot of ideas to use a Springboard, like ordering a ticket, bus ticket or whatever. Also extendable shortcuts we are asked for. Not only to have that predefined, you can modify the settings, but that you have more shortcuts. That I have maybe you have ideas how the API could look like that we integrate there. And for Ubuntu Touch, for sure, we have some bug fixes on our roadmap. For instance, one developer is working on this annoying pop-up if the device wakes up from the sleep mode. I didn't care about that, but it's annoying for consumers that expect a daily driver. Yeah, that should work, just should work. And also we improve the power consumption in the next OTA 18 update. I'm not sure yet whether the merge request is accepted. So you can benefit from the very strong battery also in Ubuntu Touch. And we are happily working on an easier VPN setup for consumers, not only for developers like it is now. We have an instruction that you can download on our homepage, so you can set up your Ubuntu Touch device with Hide-Me VPN. Maybe you can also reuse it for other VPNs as well. And we are evaluating, so this is in a process, so I don't want to promise too much, but we have a promising approach to implement voice over LTE. I think this is a good news for all the US users of the Volla phone, because in the US, I think some networks are switched off and they will rely on the voice over LTE. And because we have a full source code, the idea is to re-implement the Java stuff for IMS into C to integrate it right into a phono. But this is an ongoing process, and we are always happy with you to discuss it. And for sure, we want to bring the Volla user experience on Ubuntu Touch. So it's also more a perspective that I would like. And one idea is that you call the Springboard by a fingertip on the backside. And therefore, we have also that challenge to the hackathon. We have amazing community projects. I just go quickly through because tomorrow they are presented, and one even today. We have progress in Nbox, and I was so happy about that because in our market research, in our focus group, the outcome was that most consumers need at least one Android app for their daily private or business or life or scholar for studies. And so I'm very happy about the progress here and about the crowdfunding project of Mr. Timmermans. So if you like, you can, I think, still contribute to that crowdfunding. We have that Android boot manager that needs an update for Volla OS 10, where you switch, where you start a different operation system. It's nice to, it's not for consumers because it's not easy to install it, but if you can install it, then it's nice to have a second option. Maybe we can think about, if you like, tell us, we could offer that installation as a paid service. Then we have Selfish OS. We have progress in Nemo Mobile, very exciting. And we have progress in Manjaro and Droidian. So that's a presentation tomorrow. So you have further options on your Volla phone. And I would like to briefly tell you something about an outlook, what happens next. So I'm very, I don't want to make too much hot air to announce something that we don't fulfill. But we are, for sure, our hardware engineers, or the hardware engineers of our partner are working on a successor model that is not on the market yet and that you don't find anywhere. And so that's an ongoing process in the background, and I can promise that it will have amazing specs. And we have working on Volla accessories, so some simple stuff. So we will have in June, we have a new nice sleeve for the Volla phone, a woolen sleeve, also a vegan material, if you like that, if you prefer that. It looks very awesome. And then we are working also for further hardware. Be surprised, and because we think about how can we do the next step, how can we provide a solution for private communication. And personally, I think if we would like to install and enable our freedom, we need the approach of the encrypted distributed edge computing as an alternative to the recent cloud paradigm. And we are in contact with some partners, people who are working on that distributed cloud approach. Because if you host a cloud, you are always forced by law to give your data away. And that can't be a solution for the future. These are the sources. So where you can join our community, where you contribute to our project, where you find more information, and most of them find that links, and many of the links are also off the homepage. That was my keynote, but I don't want to end up the keynote with one more thing.
So just to say that we also do not only have our Twitter account, but we also are connected right now to Mastodon.
Yeah.
So there's also an open source opportunity to follow our Twitters, because it's directly connected to Mastodon. So if you want to follow along, you can also search for Volla in Mastodon, and you will find us and you can follow us there.
And there's a mirror for the Telegram channel.
Or the matrix bridge.
Yeah, the matrix bridge.
Matrix bridge, yeah.
So you have also several options to follow us and join the discussion. And yeah, we are thinking about several options so to switch. But the reason why we are at Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube and all that stuff is the reason because many consumers out there, they don't know about the alternatives, and these people are find an option and get to know about alternatives by that way. So it's just easy. That's the only reason why we are there.
Yeah. So one little thing that I have to tell the people is that we are not only thinking about the next successor of hardware and the next Volla phone maybe, but also about the small things that you maybe have access to, and we will give something to you, at least for our speakers right away, because every one of our speakers we get a nice accessory for the Volla phone. Dr. Wurzer had just the chance to have it first in hand right now, and it's this camera right now. We will. Okay. If there's an autofocus there, we will give, if you as the community or as a Volla phone owner, you can also order them if you want. We will put them on our website. These small Volla stands will also come with a 90 degrees cable, so you can not only put your Volla phone inside of it, but you can also charge it right away. So you have your charging stand, and it's eco-friendly filament that has been used. It is 3D printed, but it's our own design, and we are happy to have some more accessories coming up, and hopefully you will enjoy this. If you have any colors that you really want and you want it in red or in green or something else, you can also ask for it because it's 3D printed in Germany, obviously.
Yeah,
by us.
It's a German product, yeah.
And yeah, you can get it if you want right now. Just put your hands in the chat if you want one, or write us an email on sales@volla.online. We are happy. And also all of our speakers will get one for free.
Yeah, and you have that cable slot, so you can use it for your desk, that you plug it in, and you can charge your Volla phone. It's quite nice. So I like, for instance, I don't use any sleeve or so. I'm very puristic, so it's perfect that the device doesn't scratch you. You have scratches on the device. You just do it.
Yeah,
perfect.
So again, thank you so much. There's already the first. I want one in the raised hand. So just write us an email, and we will contact you, and you will get one. Sure.
Perfect. So, and then the next thing is we are, as I said, we are working hard on hardware development in the background, on the hardware engineers. And next month, we are also starting with the deep layers of the operation system for that hardware. But we have something that we can offer earlier, and that's the Volla X. And the Volla X is the X is for extreme. It's all the people of you that are outdoor or are heavy working in the construction area, or are working as a fireman, or riding a horse, whatever. It's a so-called rack phone, and this is a rack device. Yeah, you can have it in the camera, and you also can switch it on. Yeah, so we have it here already with Ubuntu Touch, and this is Volla OS, and yeah, it's really. I think there's we have been asked for such a rack model here, and on the back side there's a nice way where the Volla logo is engraved, and different users that are asked for that. And this is the hardware specification. So it's IP68, water and dust resistant. CPU is the same processor as you already known in the Volla phone. So that's the reason why we can offer that in that short time. It was again broken. It has a display, 6-inch display, 283 ppi. It had connectivity as you know it from the Volla phone. It has also the same interfaces. It has headphone jack, and because for the vital protection on the bottom, you have that protection of the connection so that no water can come in for the slots. You have a nano SIM, a dual SIM. You can also use the SD card, as you know, and the battery is a monster. It has 6,200 milliampere hours, so it's really an outdoor monster that you take with you. Unfortunately, it's not. It's a little bit heavy, 270 grams, but that's how it is. It can fall down, and you can. It's quite robust. So that's the hardware specification, and I hope that you will like it. It will be available for pre-order in June. And for shipping, we plan it to do it from August. And it will be start by 44 euro. And let's have a look on our homepage. Please have a look on our homepage. We will offer a pre-order discount then next month for the early adopters who would like to have that device on tour or on work. And yeah, we are happy to have a new Volla hardware in our family.
And it reminds me at some point about this old BlackBerry presentations where they threw the phone in another corner and it was still good. So I got the chance to have this one in hand right today, this morning. When I came up here, I had the chance to first have it in hand, and it's really rugged, it's really sturdy, and it's heavy. Of course it's heavy, but it has to be heavy because it will be in a heavy environment normally. So, but also this red button is just so beautiful, and also the haptic is really good. So if you get the chance to have one, get one. That's what I have to say.
Perfect. So I'm a little bit over time, so I suggest that we combine Q&A after the next part of the community day content part. And all over the day, you have for sure many time to ask questions. After the lunch, I have a presentation of the Volla OS itself, and you can ask further questions. For the hackathon now, the course is that you can select your challenge right now. You can start right now in parallel of the program. And so we would like to give away one of that Vollaphone X. So if you are interested, if you prefer, you can have also a Vollaphone. So the second prize is a Vollaphone. Let's see, maybe we can increase that prices. Let's see what happened, who contributes what, and you decide who would or should become that gift or reward for what he or she has done in that hackathon. The requirement for the reward is that you contribute what you have done for reuse by the whole community. I think that's fair. And the challenges that we think about, but you are free to bring in your own idea because it's all about community. We develop everything together with you and for you. What I would like to see is another communication channel in the Volla launcher, maybe from the Springboard text field, or in the collection of news or the threads. So maybe Signal would be a candidate for threads, and maybe Telegram for the news. Depends how you would see it, and the integration of another message channel in the collection, as I said. Also a mechanism for expansion of the Springboard. Maybe you have a good idea, a good concept for that. And for Ubuntu Touch, we think to introduce Volla UX by tapping on the fingerprint sensor. Maybe you can implement that, how an app could start. Maybe you can even do more with a fingerprint sensor. Maybe you can do it to navigate through the shortcuts. And of course, maybe you have an idea to make it much more easier to use a VPN. The wars are already a contribution of a French community developer with an app. One of our developers investigates in that currently, and you're free to bring in your own ideas. So that's the challenge begin. So that's again the program for today. And before we go for the Q&As, I would like to welcome Mr. Leber from our major partner next to Gigaset Communications, that is from the Ubibots Foundation. Also a very young foundation that started officially, so far I know, in the last year. So welcome, Mr. Leber. Thank you very much that you are willing to contribute to that community days. So hello. I would like to hand over for your presentation, and then we have hopefully a lively discussion and Q&A. Thank you very much for joining our conference.
Good morning, everyone. I just joined late. I was a little bit busy on the morning now, so I didn't follow all of what was happening here. Nevertheless, I'm pleased to be here. Thank you for the invitation that I can talk a little bit about the Ubibots Foundation, about Ubuntu Touch, of course. I will give a few slides that I just assembled from previous presentations because we're still having actually the same messages as we have since a few years for all the people. So besides what we are doing on a technical level, the core idea of the foundation is made, let's say, in a very robust way. We want to be here for, let's say, decades, not years. And so the mission statement is still the same as it was in the beginning. But many of you might not know what's behind. You just see Ubuntu Touch as an operating system. So I will drop a few words. And after my slides, I'm happy to receive questions from all over the meeting, all over the event. Okay, let me try to share actually my screen, and I hope I'm going to pick the right one.
If it's not working, I can also make you moderator, if that's the thing.
Sorry?
I can also make you moderator if you're not allowed to share. Yes, you are.
Yeah, basically, I should have the screen shared now.
It works, yeah.
All right, good. Let me start with a statement from Mark Shuttleworth, the founder of Canonical, because that was actually when we started to be in a serious operations. They just shut down their serious operations. So at this turning point, when Ubuntu Touch was actually abandoned or canceled by Canonical, we really started to think about what we can do. Yeah. So that was already in April 2017. So it's not far from 4 years now, more than 4 years already now, that Canonical has stopped any investment into Ubuntu Touch as a mobile operating system, and also retired along that a lot of software that they have developed. And we must say they developed really tons of software packages to make their ideas come true. And they invested a lot of money. We're based here on investments by Canonical that go probably into hundreds of man years. I don't want to judge any amount of money, but the resources that they invested are way beyond, let's say, I don't know, 250 man years or so. And we don't want to discuss the reasons for that, why they stopped doing Ubuntu Touch. But for us, before that event, before that 5th of April 2017, there was only a small group of people. There was no Ubibots Foundation, no idea about any organization. It was just a bunch of people that actually did only porting. So the beginning of the Ubibots Foundation was only in a sense of we want to transfer the Ubuntu Touch that we have from Canonical onto other devices. So there were only a few devices supported by Canonical at this time. And on top of that, some people started to port devices that have been proven to be easily unlockable, Android devices like the Nexus 5 that were really robust. And so that was the beginning before 2017. That was already around, I think I would say, for at least 2 years, maybe 3 years. I just came to the project around 2016. So I cannot tell much what happened before. But on that, in that April 2017, we sat together and we said, okay, we must do something about this, because it's a real pity and it would be totally unfortunate if all that development has to be dropped and we have to stop here, and that's it. We simply didn't accept the fact that this journey ends here. So the first thing that we discovered, or we said as our mission goal, is Ubuntu Touch is not dead. It's not dead because it's an open software. You have everything basically in public repositories. The code can be carried on. The code can be improved. So the first months we spent with forking a lot of code, taking code out of Launchpad, because Canonical, of course, developed most of their stuff in Launchpad, not on GitHub. We transferred most of the stuff to GitHub, and we're talking about approximately 400 repositories or even more that had to be imported to GitHub, to our organization, and had to be customized so they actually build, setting up build servers, all that infrastructure things. That was happening in the first months after we said we continued that project. We still didn't talk about the foundation, so there was nothing around. We want to be a foundation. We want to be a legal body or so. That came all much later. And the second thing, of course, is that we said we are not only being the ones that keep it on live support, we also want to continue developing. So the next statement that we would have here, it's more alive than ever. Meaning we wanted to expand, we wanted to update stuff, we wanted to repair stuff that was broken. And so people started to make actually improvements of the code base. And I think one of the biggest achievements for 2017 was already we were moving the push service from Canonical into our infrastructure. That was very important because the Telegram clients that were the only messaging client available at this time for Ubuntu Touch are heavily depending on receiving push notifications, because you don't want to always turn on your phone and want to check if you received any notifications. So we transferred that into our organization with the help of Telegram, with the help of those people there. It was a hell of a ride because Canonical said by the end of the year they will turn off basically the update server, the app store, the push server, everything. They wanted just to decommission their infrastructure. So the first months were also more or less governed by doing those takeovers, not only the code base, but also some of the services. Luckily, there was already an alternative store around, the Open Store, and the Open Store became our place and our app store for everything, all the apps in Ubuntu Touch. And that was also run by a few volunteers at this time already, because some people, they didn't like to push their apps to Canonical, or Canonical didn't accept their apps into their store. So there was an alternative already, and that became very handy, because without an app store, without all the infrastructure, the project wouldn't have lived that long. As a fun fact, there are still people walking around with the old Canonical image on their phones. It's not many, it's maybe a handful, but some people entirely refuse to update to our Ubuntu Touch. Right? So you can do this. You will run a very outdated version of Ubuntu 15.04. You won't get any updates. You won't be able to access new apps that we upload for a different SDK and so on. So it's troublesome, but it seems that some people still love the old image. Okay, meet the Ubibots Foundation. So by the time maybe 2018 or so, it became clear that we cannot continue. If we really want to invest and bring the project forward, we cannot just do this in our free time. We need at least to hire a few people. And to make this possible, you can either create a company, kind of a legal body that is usually a limited or something like that. But that costs a lot of money, and you have to pay taxes, and you have to follow certain regulations. And in the end, the idea was more appealing to us to make a foundation. So the benefit of the foundation is that we are exempted from certain taxes. We actually are accepted as a beneficial foundation, so we can receive donations in whatever way. We're going to collect those donations, and we will then again invest into our cause and into our ideas from that money. And also there is a so-called endowment capital. That's a base of money that we have to keep in our account. And we can invest this not really spend it, but we can invest it in, I don't know, could be shares or funds or whatever. So we can have our core capital more or less secured. So the foundation, the building of a foundation is a very weird process, and we decided to do the foundation in Germany. So Ubibots is based officially in Berlin. We have there a very small rented office, probably with only one chair or so, because it's a shared office space, to keep the costs very low. But we have to have a mailbox where we can actually get mailings delivered by the government and so on. So the foundation is based in Berlin. The funding process involved a lot of mailings and translations. Some of the people that we work with are of course not native German speakers, so we had to go around the language barrier here. But with the help of a few supporters and entrepreneurs, we were able to raise a certain amount of money that is necessary to have a foundation. So you cannot do a foundation with, I don't know, $100 in your hands. That needs to be normally something around 1 million euros or so. That's something where the Berlin government is on ease. We didn't have 1 million euro, of course. So we kind of got it founded with around 250k euros. That's well below the normal amount of foundations what they accept, but with a lot of explanation and begging and being nice to the people in Berlin, we were able to convince them. So the Ubibots Foundation was founded with that amount of money. However, it took again, let's say, the whole 2018 to prepare, the whole 2019 until it finally got applied around end of 2019. And we can say basically that after this long delay with the year 2020, we are in full operation. So 2019 was already a little bit of a trunk year for the foundation, but 2020 was the first fully operational year. And that actually allowed us also to make the bridge to the community. So the community that was created around that consists of basically users of the operating system that didn't want to give it up, developers that were around at the time when Canonical was doing their job still. There are some developers that were hired by Canonical and then laid off during the termination of that project. Some of the people were freelancers developing for Ubuntu Touch. And a lot of other, let's say, crazy and motivated people. And mostly also the foundation is part of the community very strongly, because the people, the managing board of directors came entirely from the foundation, from the community, let's say, minus one guy that came from one of our sponsors. So we are very tightly coupled with all the people in the community and the developers. It's not just an administration thingy. So the foundation is part of the community, and the community is a part of the foundation. Now, so we try to be in the mission statement something like, we are the community that keep Ubuntu Touch alive, and that's basically the thing that happened until now. We kept it alive. We were very successful, I think. We upgraded the base system from 15.04 to 16.04. Current ongoing work, where we can talk a little bit later about it, is that we upgrade into 20.04 Ubuntu base. We are actually jumping about one long-term support version. And we try to grow and try to grow the community, the user base. And we also tried to grow the device base. And basically, that's also the reason why I'm here today, probably. We were actually very successful in adopting Android devices that were already on the market and porting them. I think we are around, in total, 60 devices are on our device page. Maybe half of them is actually usable for a daily use, I would say. We have a lot of experiments there. But among those is the Volla phone by Hallo Welt Systeme. And that cooperation became a key for us, because we were able to not only have aftermarket and used devices ported in some way so that people can use it. No, we finally got on board a device that you can actually buy as a new device with all the provisions of a warranty, of a support, of the assurance that the battery is in good shape and so on. So we always said we need to attract people also by offering them a device that is factory new. And that happened with the Volla phone. It also happened with the Pine phone, which is a non-Android phone, so it's an entirely different class of device. But I'm really pleased to say here on this public channel that the Volla phone has climbed in our usage ranking and is actually now around third place to second place in our statistics when we are looking. There is a huge gap to the Nexus 5, which is our most popular device. But the Volla phone managed during these last few months, actually, and that's only 6-8 months, I would say, to go from almost no usage up to third to second place, depending on the daytime and which week it is, and some people switching their phones on and off regularly, it seems. But it actually battled all the other phones, and I'm really proud to say that turned out very well. So for us, it's also a strong indication that giving people a choice of a modern device that they can buy as a factory device is already something that proved to be very, very valuable. Also, some people are switching to the Volla phone. So we kind of lost a few other users from other devices. We can see this from our statistics. But overall, there was a huge intake also of new users that were happy to receive that. So keeping alive worked very well. Let me show one central part of our mission when we say where do we want to go. Of course, everything like keeping it alive is important. We have to keep on track with all the updates, security-wise, and also we are still consuming all the stuff from Ubuntu, from the desktop OS that is possible. So Canonical is still kind of delivering all these packages to us, and we can use them. But of course, we also want to shape the operating system and the project in some way. And I picked one of the core things that we are still trying to achieve, where we say we are not there yet. And that's one of the messages that also Canonical tried to transport already since 2013, actually, when they started the project. And that's about this convergence thinking. Yeah? So many people are asking us about what does it mean to have a converged device. It's not about the device itself, basically. So the device is a physical thing that has a certain size, and you cannot do much about it. What's more important is that an operating system allows you to have a certain degree of freedom to use it wherever and however you want, and it will follow your form factor. So the idea was you have a desktop size, you have a tablet size, or a mobile phone size as your current display, as a current surface, and then all the apps and the operating system will adapt to what it can be. Meaning adapt in size, meaning adapt if it's a touch screen or it has a mouse and keyboard input and that things. And that was one of the core messages that Canonical tried to send. We are going to do converged devices. You have only to have one device in your pocket, and then you can use it wherever you want. And a lot of code base inside Ubuntu Touch is prepared for that, and some things are working very nicely. This was only the marketing stuff. You might know that this is basically how Ubuntu Touch would look on a desktop. And that's already there. So you can use this if you have a device that has a display connection for an HDMI port, for example. Then you could connect your mobile phone to your desktop screen. It would switch over to that mode because it detects a new display, and you can use your mouse and your keyboard to work like on a desktop. And still now in 2021, that's a unique selling proposition that we want to pursue. Also because other mobile operating systems are not there, and they also kind of not really try to do it in the right way. Android has done a lot of stuff trying to make that possible, kind of a desktop experience. But they're still really focusing on that's an app, and we want to display the app on a desktop. And we say, okay, we don't want to make this borderline so much strict to say you can only have your apps. You can also use applications that come from the desktop on a mobile phone. It might not be look very well on the small screen, but as soon as you connect the big screen, it would be a really nice experience. So let's hope, and that's also something where we say we need hardware vendors in the future to react on that. Let's hope we get more devices that have actually a display output port. The current options that you have are very limited. There are a few devices that offer a slim port adapter like Nexus 5, but it's an aging device. There are a few things that you can use dongles for Wi-Fi display, so you can do a Miracast or something like that. That really doesn't work very well for daily work. You can use it for presentations, but the input lag is so noticeable. So Wi-Fi display, nah, that's not going to work for what we want to have. We really want to have something where you have a dock or a cable and you connect it to the phone, and then you just switch to that desktop. A few more devices will come our way. Let's hope that there will be more, more motivation for hardware vendors to embed such a display port, or actually HDMI out port. And let's hope that this will really be one of our key features in the future. We are prepared, but still not there. And that brings me to a thing that is basically our daily concern. How are we gonna go there? Now, as we are a foundation, we can build networks where we have contacts to people, we have contacts to vendors like Hallo Welt Systeme. We have other vendors where we're talking with. Some people approached us already to say, okay, we want to make our new mobile phone, we want to make it Ubuntu Touch friendly or Ubuntu Touch ready. Can you help porting us? We try to do this either by offering advices and consulting, or we try to say, okay, if you want us to develop something for Ubuntu Touch that's very specific, why you not just donate a little bit into the foundation, either one fixed amount per device that you're going to sell, or you can also just pay a number of euros as a flat donation, let's say, and we try what we can do for that money. We try to bring that forward. And that seems to work in some regard. Also this year, 2021 will be still have a few surprises for the Linux mobile market, I can say. I cannot talk about in details. But stay tuned what's going to happen this year. I mean, Corona brought us a little bit out of that pace. Some projects are struggling and are delayed. But I'm still pretty confident that by the end of the year, we can say 2021 was again a very great year for alternative mobile operating systems. All right. What's the status? I just can say, well, we are feeling not so bad, actually. We have a few full-time employees, a few part-time employees, and a lot of help from the community. We're still a little bit chaotic when it comes to organizing where we should go in some way. We still don't have a strict roadmap, and always the people are asking, what is the roadmap? Yeah, when is this coming or that coming? So we are not a company, we are not planning everything precisely to say, okay, in this first quarter, we must do this, this, and this. Because if you don't have a fixed number of employees and a fixed number of resources, it's really hard to say, okay, it's possible to achieve that goal in 3 months or in 6 months. It might be sometimes 1 year. Some people have left us and left behind what they started. Somebody else needs to pick up. So it's more like a community feeling in the foundation than in a company. However, we try to do a few things that are really, really important. We really try to push now. Yeah? So what we're working on right now, the most important thing is the upgrade to 2004. So 2004 is the current long-term support version of Ubuntu. 16.04 has already been phased out. We are already outside of receiving security updates and other stuff and support for that. So our primary concern for 2021 is get that code base to 20.04. We are doing this now with all hands on deck, basically. So most of the developers are involved just with that. It involves a lot of CI tooling and rearrangement and fixing tests, fixing packages that suddenly break. 20.04 is so far away from the 16.04 code base, and it was not made with mobile in mind, that a lot of our code needs attention now. So that task is really, really not nice, but we have to do it. Luckily, because long-term support versions from Canonical are always valid for 5 years, we can say if we do now 20.04, we will have to do this again only when we again jump, let's say for 2 versions, would be in the end 2024, what I'm telling you now. But we will see. Maybe we were also entitled to take one LTS in between. We will see. So yeah, big jumps in the code base take a lot of time. And that's basically what we're working on right now. We are making a few small over-the-air updates now with smaller fixes and improvements. But the main part is just that. So when you want to see what else is ongoing with the other devices besides Volla phone, we have a very, very nice device page. I'm really proud about that. Devices.ubuntu-touch.io. You can go to that page and see for most of the devices a detailed status, what is working and what not. That's actually the other side of the project. We are still strongly into porting. We are encouraging people in the community, find an Android device that you like to play with. Maybe you have one lying around. Try to follow our porting guide. It's not perfect. And try to make your own adaptation for Ubuntu Touch so that you can see that on your device. I think meanwhile on my table, there are lying 6 or 7 devices. So I also fell into that porting mood, let's say. Porting is fun. You need to know a little bit about Linux kernels and a little bit about C programming and scripting. But it's really also educative to learn a lot about Android and what's the challenge of a mobile OS. All right, so here's the Volla phone with the very nice Ubuntu Touch visible on the screen. You might have noticed that we're still not 100% there with the rounded edges and the notch handling, but this will be also something after we have switched 20.04 code base, we can take again care for such UI improvements. So yeah. I can only invite you, switch to Ubuntu Touch by Ubibots today. Most of you might be already users. If not, give it a try. If possible, you will like it. We have a lot of feedback from people that never used it before. It's very intuitive. It's very minimalistic. You don't have all the distractions from a ton of Android apps and all of that being constantly online and being distracted from everything else. It's something really that is a companion on the road. It does its job for web browsing, for telephony, for messaging, for everything. But it doesn't really feel like you're being sucked into that bubble too much. I'm using it myself since I think 2015. I never used anything else. So yeah, but I think it's really, really good for if you want to have something that's reduced to the really necessary parts when you are on the road. There is also an approach to improve Nbox. Nbox will be our Android emulation, or not emulation, but virtualization container, let's say. So if there are certain Android apps that you absolutely need to use, banking apps, some company, I don't know, two-factor authentication, key thingies, blah, blah, blah. Nbox is now Nbox is now in a state where it's more or less developer preview alpha. But luckily to a community project that we fully endorse is there is now improvement made on Nbox. to update it to a later Android base to make it more integrated with the sensors and the hardware. So you might have already seen this video that was sent around in our community, where you can really see that the performance is now really nice, and some things like sensors and hardware access works. And that will be also a great thing. I hope that by the end of the year, we have something that is really easy usable without any command line hacking. So you can go into the system settings and just say, I want to have Mbox. All right. Small joke besides, of course, if you have an iPhone, well, we cannot help you with that. That's still something that is not going to work. You cannot port Ubuntu Touch to iPhones just because Apple locked everything, and we cannot break out of that easily. And also, there is no public code for code base for certain things. Okay, all right. If you have any questions besides what we're going to talk today, you can always approach us in our community channels. We have a bi-weekly Q&A session normally. Today there is no Q&A, by the way, but I think in 2 weeks there will be again one. If you go to forums.ubibots.com, you can basically ask your questions. You can come to our Telegram channel. In the slide presentation, there is one more slide at the end with the contact data. One more thing that I want to stress out, we really need developers. You can always come to us if you want to develop a small thing or a big thing. Don't hesitate. The code base is kind of messy in some places. We don't have much documentation that explains everything. There is no real SDK for apps. There are a lot of things that need polishing. So any contribution is appreciated, because everything will it will bring forward the project, regardless if it's big or small. All right. So there is my final slide. Ubibots.com is our main website. The code is mainly on GitHub, but we're now transitioning to GitLab for a lot of stuff. We have a translations project as translations.ubibots.com, and we have the documentation that's already there on docs.ubibots.com, but it still can be extended, of course. All right. That's so far from my side. I'm happy to talk a little bit in more detail about anything that you would like to know.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Mr. Leber, for this was a load of information for every one of us, and it's very interesting where the Ubibots project, the foundation, comes from and where it aims to be or aims to get. And let me just add, because Mr. Wurzel was also getting a little bit nervous, we should share developers. Let's say 50-50, because we both need them.
Of course. So I'm not going to suck all your developers out of Volla OS, of course. No, that's not the thing.
Okay.
But yeah, that was a really reason why the Nemo Mobile project stacks, because Jolla has hired all the members of that community.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, so we should be in a social sharing situation of developers in the future.
That's true.
Are you authorized to tell something about the portal that you thought about for people that could be involved in the community and get some rewards?
Yeah, I mean, that's basically an idea where we say, how can we leverage or how can we build some low-hanging fruits, let's say. Yeah. The basic idea of the foundation is always we can invest in people if they invest somehow into our goals and ideas. So the foundation will not order something up front where we say, okay, how to say, if you're a full-time developer that works for us, we don't have so many of them, and we don't have the budget to actually hire everyone. Yeah? But if there is a small project that somebody wants to do or contribute to, but they say, for example, okay, I need a device, or I'm going to spend 1 day per week for that besides my day job, but I have to reduce my job. Can you, I don't know, give me a certain amount of money as a compensation because I really need to make something for my living? We can discuss this. so that there is a certain milestone that somebody can develop, and they will get paid for that with a usual contract. Of course, there are also ideas that you can set up certain goals to say, please fix that keyboard bug, and that keyboard bug will be worth, I don't know, 250 euros if you fix that. So setting up something like rewards, perks, whatsoever. That's something we can do. Yes, we really didn't find the best platform for that, to be honest. I don't know, Bounty Hunter or something like that is possible, but we were not really 100% convinced that that's the way where we want to put those small perks. Yeah? Okay. But on the other hand, Rudy proved now with the Nbox project that you can put something out for crowdfunding with a bigger amount. People start to invest in this and support it, and then it can already be done. I was really surprised by the speed. So I think we're still experimenting a little bit with the ideas what would be possible there. But I think, yes, we should give out smaller rewards, not only fame, but also monetary rewards for people that are going to contribute a certain part. Yeah.
Thank you very much. So, and thank you very much for your very interesting presentation, inspiring, and for me, it's always I'm always impressed to see what you are doing. And I remember well the first time when I met your colleagues from the board in Berlin. So let's us give the community the stage. So please ask some questions regarding the presentation of Mr. Leber or my presentation. Maybe I have one question. One minor question. Currently, I would recommend, I'm very happy about this Ubibots installer that is available to change the operation system. However, I would recommend that tool only for very experienced users. Is there a plan to make it more mature and to invest further in the installer?
Yes, I mean, I can say by any means, the installer proved to be a very necessary, let's come from a different point of view. Before we had the installer, there were only very manual steps that made it possible to flash your device with Ubuntu Touch. And the installer that actually we tried to implement for all the operating systems, Windows, Mac OS is also supported. The installer made it possible for normal users that have no idea about what is an ADB connection, what is fast boot, to flash their device. But we still see that we are not really there yet. So flashing such a device can be a complex thing. Many people report still problems with unlocking their phones, or sometimes something goes wrong and the error messages are not there. There's no real retry that would retry just from the failed step, or you forgot to do something. I think the installer is still work in progress, yes. It started also to support other operating systems. That was originally not intended, so that you can flash a Volla OS, you can flash a Lineage OS, something like that. It turns out to be interesting that there seems to be a demand for that, so that people really like the idea to also flash something else with the Ubibots installer. It's a very complex tool already. It comes also with embedded Android binaries for flashing. It needs to download stuff from our CI. I think after that upgrade that we are doing now for 24, we will focus again a little bit more on the installer, because it's our primary gate for the users. Without the Ubibots installer, most devices that are not factory installed with Ubuntu Touch can only be flashed with that thing. Okay. And also changing between operating systems is not really what it was meant to be, but it can go that way. Yeah? Sorry, I don't hear you anymore.
Published a manual on our download page. Maybe it helps to use the Ubibots installer, by the way, that. Okay, so maybe there are some questions from the community that we can answer. Maybe Mr. Lieber, or some question I can answer.
So basically, maybe you have heard we had to switch the microphones because the batteries went out, and so they also need a little break to recharge the batteries. I hope the audio is still there. We have questions. So Eric is the first one, and he invented the hand raising function right now. So that's perfect, because I was about to tell you that you should unmute your microphone to tell me that you have to say something. But the hand raising function is definitely something. And also in the YouTube channel, I have the live chat open in front of me. So if you have questions there, I can also read them here to Mr. Leber. Eric, please.
Yes, actually, my question is because you said well, that you will have some kind of a new hardware for the Volla phone in future, next generation Volla phone. I think it would be interesting to have. Do you think you could do the hardware out like for video signal in order to fully support the convergence idea of Ubuntu Touch? It would be really nice to have a hardware like video out signal.
Yeah, sure. I mean, that's a unique feature. And if you look on the current mobile phone market, not many of the phones have that. It seems that when Google did this on a few occasions, some of the vendors said, yeah, cool, let's make a HDMI out port and users can use that. But as the software didn't follow along, the bigger vendors basically stopped doing this. And nowadays, it's all about the phone needs to be very sealed. You don't even have a headphone plug anymore. I mean, I understand people want to have more or less Bluetooth headphones. Most people don't use wired headphones anymore. I still would do it. I mean, I have one here in my ear that I also can plug to my mobile phone. So I would say the problem here is really the hardware vendors would only go that way if there is support in software that makes sense on a larger scale. So our idea is maybe to do this on a very long-term mission statement, to say, yes, we will always talk about this. We will encourage vendors and ask them, please, what about HDMI out? Some of the SoCs, some of the chipsets of mobile phones have that already as a default. You just would need to pin it out to a physical connector.
Yeah, and I just see.
That's the thing,
Yeah, but as a Volla phone Volla is really community friendly. Maybe the next generation of Volla phone could have that. Maybe, I don't know. That is something that I think has to be discussed. I think.
Yeah, that has to be discussed. I'm fully with you. Yeah, so I will discuss it with our friends at Hallo Weltsysteme, of course, but also we can talk with Gigaset about this, because, as you know, the hardware base comes from Gigaset. Maybe they have some ideas around it.
Yeah.
I think Gigaset is really friendly. Is a really friendly vendor. It's not one of the bigger ones, of course, but still, you need to build a network with those people and just keep this idea floating, as you say. Yeah. So let's say, okay, maybe not for that generation, but maybe next generation, and always keep it about talking about it. And also, we will try to present maybe with a little bit more bias what's possible with that. So as soon as we have a little bit more that we can show what convergence can do, and if we have phones that have a little bit more RAM, that becomes now much more possible. If you think about it, the first phones that Canonical had, there was not much about convergence possible, because with 1 or 2 gigabytes of RAM, what kind of things are you going to display there?
One isn't FX Tech Pro? Do they have a phone with HDMI out as well?
Yes. I didn't mention in my presentation, though. There's FX Tech Pro 1X or so, the new one coming out. They already demonstrated that you can connect HDMI out there, and they just did this because they say that's a pocket PC with a keyboard kind of thingy. There's a different device class. So yes, we have to find our niches, our small gaps where we can push that agenda. Yeah. So, Mr. Wurtz, next generation Volla phone, please HDMI out it.
Indeed, we are talking with communication about USB-C 3.1
protocol support that includes HDMI.
Mhm.
Nevertheless, I would appreciate any suggestion how we could make use of the USB OTG. So I know that the combination of a smartphone and the Superbook from Sentio that some people know, that is a concept where you connect your smartphone with a kind of notebook, but it's not a laptop, it's a screen and keyboard, and you use your device as for the computer to compute the signal. And they realized to connect the smartphone via UTG, and maybe we could talk about a kind of a software solution that realize this convergence use case. And we would be happy to support it. With the Volla phone, I think we have much more than 30 up to 50 devices for developers that we have a giveaway free. And I think that we also have a kind of developer program when we start with the successor model. So I'm very interested indeed in that convergence use case, and we're also thinking in our roadmap to have some products that are going into that direction. So,
okay. Many thanks to Eric Inkinen, who's asking the question. I hope your questions were all answered. If not, you have, I guess, some opportunities to connect with the Ubibots Foundation and also with Mr. Leber to answer further questions. One question is coming from the YouTube channel right now. And also I have to say, muito bom dia a Portugal, porque eu falo português mais ou menos. A very, very warm welcome to Portugal. There's one question, an integrated backup function on the Ubibots installer could be cool.
Yeah, that's one of our weak points. I agree fully. So there are still some features that people would like to have or need to have to really fully switch to Ubuntu Touch with their phone. And one of them is a good backup and restore. And myself, if I'm developing here for multiple devices, I sometimes have the problem I need to move all my data from one device to another. So we see two things. One thing is that you need a backup that works in the background, maybe that syncs all your data with a Nextcloud. That would be our first idea how we would solve it. So a background sync service that makes sure that all of your mobile phone data is captured on your Nextcloud account in some zipped and encrypted form. Doesn't matter, that's not the point. And the other thing is that you can switch data from one phone to another easily. And also it might be that your phone just falls on the ground, you crack something, it's damaged. You need to quickly pull all the data because you don't know how long that phone will sustain. And yes, the installer was the primary target for that idea. So that you can connect the phone and it will just say, okay, that's a Ubuntu Touch phone, you want to back up your data. I just drag everything from the phone and store it on a local PC and you can put it on another phone. Yes, we are circling that idea for some time. Unfortunately, there was so little time to invest in it. We already tried it, I think, 2 or 3 times to kick off the backup and restore project. And just 2 weeks ago or so, I discussed it again with someone. We will try to put it on the nice to have list for end of that year, maybe. Yeah. So unfortunately, we'll still need some months to go by before we can fully focus on that. But Canonical had something in place that was a sync service, but it never made it on the phone. So there is already a code base. Maybe we can just reuse that. Yeah.
Okay. I can announce that we also think of, you see in the Volla OS, the backup feature is empty, if you call it in the system settings. So we already think about an update, a backup solution for the Volla OS. And we are also thinking about a kind of device for the users like a Volla Hub or something where you have your private cloud for easy backups, so that you let us know whether this is interesting for you. We have some inquiries for that for that easy, secure solution that you combine with the Volla phone without the need to hire some backup service or something like that.
Yeah. Because not everyone will be happy to have to set up Nextcloud. It's again about accessibility. Yeah. Nextcloud is a cool thing, but you need a little bit of experience and knowledge about Linux, about hosting that. And the more it's a simple thing that everyone can use, the better it is. Yeah.
There are so interesting projects out like Cubic.io. They have demonstrated how to store data distributed so your data is not lost, even if your hub that you have in your office is broken or something.
Yeah, great.
Okay, thank you so much for this question from the chat. If there are any more questions, just let us know. If there's anyone else, please raise your hand in the meeting right now if you want to ask a question. Otherwise, I guess we have a nice musical.
Yeah, so we have time because we have
5 to 12.
Yeah, you know, 15. So we have this agenda. So for today, so we have the lunch break, 12:15. So if you have some questions, you can ask us. For sure, you have the opportunity all over the day to ask questions. And I think it's worth to be online this afternoon. So we have a presentation about protected communication, abhörsichere Kommunikation. So from our partner Care IT. And I'm very happy that Professor Asmuth, who is an expert in cryptology, he will demonstrate a phishing and password cracking attack. So very practical, inspiring contributions. And we have that demonstration of Nbox. Let's see how it works. Anyway, I have seen some very nice videos and images about the progress. And before we end up, we have just a very small contribution, but maybe you can ask a further question.
Yeah. So again, is there anyone else who wants to raise a hand and ask a question? I would be happy. Now is the chance. I guess your presentation was too good, Mr. Leber.
Thank you.
No one else is having any questions right now.
Talked everyone down. Perfect. Mission accomplished.
So thank you again so much for having us.
Thank you for the opportunity. Great. It was a pleasure. All right. Then I would say I wish you a nice lunch break soon.
Thank you so much. One more question. Yeah. I do have one more question.
Sure.
So now that you saw the Volla for Next, what are you thinking of it?
Oh, well, I'm really excited because, I told people in our community there will be more device releases this year, and nobody really thought that much of, somebody tells you this and so on and so on. But it seems that people now realize, there's really investment into this. It's not just there is one device and then there is nothing for a long time and they struggle and so on and so on. No, the people can see that you're following a plan to expand, and that makes everyone happy probably. I really like it because, I never used a rugged phone in my work, though I was working for an industrial company at some point. I could have used it, unfortunately 5 years too late, but I might consider it the next time when I'm moving to my new apartment and have to do my work there. Maybe it's protecting my phone in a better way when I started to, modify my walls, or I don't know.
That would be the perfect time, at least. Yeah. So I'm happy to have your orders right here.
All right.
Okay, thank you very much for that. And before we end up and go into lunch, because our mission is to go beyond technology, to focus on things that matters. So I'm also glad that we have another team member of us from Volla. Maybe some people of you know already the name Miss Funk. She is a student for Asian Latin and Mathematics. And she answered your questions in support and for sales. Yeah, and our idea was Miss Funk is also a musician. She plays violin, and so at the end of this morning session, I had the idea that our team member plays a piece, and also for the introduction of our afternoon session. So, hello, Ms. Funk, good morning, and maybe you can tell us what you're playing now.
I'm playing G from Veracini.
Okay, let's go. Thank you very much. Thank you for your patience and joining our conference in the morning. And we are back after the lunch break.
Yes, and just because the YouTube chat was still asking, what's the Volla for next? I will again show it to the camera. Oh, sure. So thank you again. Have a nice lunch break, and here's the Volla X.
Yeah, so that's a rough device with specification that has a very strong battery, 6,200 milliampere hours. It's a rough device, and it has the same chipset as Volla found with 8-core processor and 6.1-inch display. It's 68. This tiny. We will start the ordering June, and we plan to ship it in August. Soon, can be sure that we have some and he has to choose. Okay, so
So we are preparing to be back. Welcome again to the stream on YouTube. Welcome again back here in our conference. Adding to the last speech, I have to say that you also can, of course, ask questions in German. Sie können natürlich auch auf Deutsch Fragen stellen, sowohl im Chat als auch dann persönlich. Wir übersetzen das dann. Aber wir haben eben auch uns jetzt dazu entschlossen, weil wir so ein internationales Team sind, da die Hauptsprache auf Englisch zu lassen. Because we are such an international team, we preferred to have English as a main language for this conference. But we were also talking about maybe in the future have other conference or community days where we just split the room into different languages so everyone can join. And yeah, so this is of course
And I think it's a good start for the day. That was Ms. Funk. She also worked in as part of the Volla team. Maybe some of yours are knowing her from some experience. Thank you very much for coming.
So we do have some difficulty right now because the stream is shuddering as hell. Wir haben fast nichts verstanden.
Okay.
Und sowohl Jitsi als auch der YouTube-Stream sind gerade sehr am Kämpfen. Ich habe gesagt, wir müssen wahrscheinlich den Stream nochmal neu starten.
Okay. Sure, that is.